my origin for podcasting is not really blogging, but I think live streaming.
Mm-hmm.
And my background in mass communications. Yeah, because when I did the podcast, it was a medium that was media related, but also a way to express my niche interest in anime.
Mm-hmm.
Because the podcast, the technical side, and audio production is what I experienced when I did TV production.
Yeah. I lay on the scare, you gotta glow. You gotta glow. She had my attention, she gotta know.
I'd like to welcome everyone to another episode of the Let's Get Podcast. I'm your host Zeke, and in this episode I have the host of the MC Anime Podcast to speak about podcasting and anime. You can find his podcast by clicking the link in the description below. I'd like to give a content warning for any trying to use this episode. I hope you have a nice day and enjoy the show. So, welcome to the podcast.
MC Anime, and I'm the special guest today.
Yes. So, the first question I'd like to ask is, what is your origin story? What would your origin story be, and how would you like to represent it?
My origin story. You want to do my origin, or I can do my origin story with anime, and then how I became into podcasting. Is that okay?
Yes.
Ever since I was little, I would watch. The main source of entertainment I had in my house was the television set. VHS tapes, Scooby-Doo. That was my early childhood. I would watch all these shows on cable. I got to the point where I had so many shows, I started making a schedule. Each show a week from 8 p.m. to like 10 p.m. EST, when those shows will air on which channel, so I'll watch it in real time, so I don't have to spend all the time on demand to watch television. And then that's a story of me liking television as a child, but the liking of anime came into existence after watching DC and Marvel animated shows. I think that was like a big transition for me to like anime, and anime is from Japan, of course. But yeah, I start rewatching some childhood shows like Teen Titans, Static Shock, stuff that I haven't seen in years. Like I only saw like glimpses of it. I didn't like completely watch it. So when I was doing all of that binge watching of, DC and Marvel animated shows, it kind of jump started my passion with anime indirectly. Because without, watching those animated TV shows that I watched as a child, and then we watched like the Ultimate Spider-Man and different versions of Marvel and Hawk, Agents of Smash. It was a great show that I found on Netflix. My dad watched it. It was kind of cool. Shows like that moved me to the anime medium. And I guess I can say I got into my first introduction to anime as, a big medium. I had a particular friend. They love One Piece. They will keep talking about One Piece and how this show is really cool because they do this and X, Y, and Z. I think where I took the most interest in One Piece would probably be Dressrosa arc, where he actually showed me the epic fight scene of Flamingo versus Luffy. So that was kind of cool. So I think that kind of made me watch One Piece and like give it more credit. And I was watching anime at that point, but that kind of like pushed it over as the way to watch it as a medium and binge watch, like I did with the other shows.
Mm-hmm.
And then I slowly transitioned into liking all these shows at once, and being in that field. Also at the same time with watching all these different television shows and entertainment wise, I was in mass communications. Mass communications jump started my interest. Well, is directly why I wanted to be in the media industry. Podcasting is one way to be in the media industry. So I start, any person wanted to do to express their passion for anime. I started with blogging, and when I transitioned to blogging as a format to express my passion, it just came by accident. It wasn't, I didn't have like a vision to be a blogger. It just happened. It came after I would put personal anime threads on my Facebook post, and people didn't understand why I was posting anime stuff on my personal Facebook. And then I started posting even more. And it was like abnormal because I didn't necessarily post anime at first on Facebook, and then I just suddenly posted it. So I decided it's like maybe I should create a my own separate section on Facebook that's not my personal account for anime stuff. So I made my blog. And then I had an official blogging website later after the fact. And then, I kept going to different blogging platforms. Like, well, what's a blogging platform here? Oh, Tumblr's a good one. Here's Pinterest. I can use Pinterest for screenshots, Flickr for screenshots too. Pin Anime is another good group. And Mino is another blogging platform. So, I launched into like 15 different platforms at that point. And it's kind of crazy how that happened because I didn't really feel it just kept happening. And the amount of work that I kept putting into it, 100+ blog entries later, was pretty impactful. One, I'll start with paraphrasing anime news articles I found. I would just go into my Google news feed, type in anime as a subtopic, find everything related to anime as an article, find the best one I liked, summarize it, give credit to the original author or the website that published it in my blog, and people love me doing that. But they also had a lot of comments saying that I should branch into original content. I never considered original content when I did the blog. So I start doing my own original content, giving anime reviews, doing discussion on that. Convention reviews was big because I started going to conventions like at once a month, and I used the blog as a way to find original topics. Holidays, theme days, all of that stuff was implemented. And then I also did like a wiki series for like Bleach, and I believe Seven Deadly Sins. I was doing a character analysis of the 7 different sins. And then I don't know, for a long while, thought that blogging was very tedious. I would post to 20+ platforms, and if I posted to all those platforms, I'd be copying and pasting every word I said in the blog, which now got to be like 5 paragraphs long. Originally, it was like 1 paragraph long in total. But now it's even longer because I'm making the original content, and the original content needs depth to it.
Yeah.
So now these articles they're not articles anymore. These blog posts are even longer because of the original content that I started. So by doing that, also finding a thumbnail, and the thumbnail is a visual representation of the blog, like when I was using websites, it gave me a preview page of the website. So that was my thumbnail. I didn't have to post a picture about it. But now I'm not using the sites because they're all original content for me. So I had to start making my own pictures associated with it. So I start uploading the pictures to each platform. And then, there's the converting of the platforms that were only picture wise. So Pinterest and Flickr and all these other ones, and also indoor.com or whatever, I would save a screenshot of my blog post. It's very tiny into those platforms. And it just caused so much headache because I had to do all the posts that didn't require screenshots of what I posted. So I'll have copy and paste title and words each separate post, and then after I'm done, all the ones I can publish with words in the picture, I went to Flickr and Pinterest to upload those in the picture format. Picture format was kind of interesting because I had to minimize the screen and do a snipping tool on my laptop. The screenshot didn't really do it as well. I had to go to laptop most of the time, and then if I saved it, I would publish on my phone. That's interesting. But after that, I went to live streaming because I was done with blogging. The original idea for the live streaming was take old blogs I published in article format, put it into video format. And I did it for 17 live streams, I believe. And then I think the live streams, I had a co-host. It was basically still as much work as blogging, but in a different way. I would prepare presentations and the PowerPoint to be the visual aid in the live stream that people will look at. So I'll slowly change the slide if I was going to a different topic. That was fine, but I never showed my face most of the time because the setup I had was either I show the presentation or show my face. So I showed the presentation instead because I feel like that was the most better content to show when talking about these live streams. And then, I don't know, live streaming just has less success with the co-host, reaching back to him at that time. So I didn't quite do it because I didn't want to do it by myself, so I wasn't motivated. There was this long period of time when I didn't do anything relating to my MC Anime name or my live stream. And then I got the feeling that I missed being in that content creator field. So yeah, and a couple months ago, I think it was October, I actually got the idea to start a podcast. I can reach back to the former co-host I had. We can just start the podcast. Well, I reached the former co-host. We did a couple episodes, but he's also been very busy. So I had to find a new co-host, and then now I have an established co-host, and it's kind of crazy to see how the podcast came to be after only a couple of months of doing the episodes. To me, it's been great. I want to continue as much as I can. It's the greatest passion project I ever had. You have a question?
No, that's all I'm about to take in. So before we break that down, how would you represent your own? Definitely break that down. How would you represent your origin stories? What kind of medium would you choose?
With my origin story,
Yeah.
I would say the shows I watched as a child, all the
Mhm.
cartoons. That was my main source of entertainment. My passion with Pokemon, definitely,
Mhm.
because the gaming that I had access to was Nintendo, specifically Game Boy and DS formats.
Mhm.
So I had access to those formats in the old Pokemon games. I would religiously play Pokemon nonstop because it was another. I didn't have much entertainment, so that was the entertainment I had as a child.
Mhm.
And then, I had that obsession with TV, like TV being the main source of early childhood entertainment. I would
Mhm.
just watch hours and hours of like Scooby Doo and different shows, just
Yeah.
reruns, constantly. That was my childhood. I still got a Scooby Doo light switch still in my room, and remnants of stickers that I used to have. And then I remember also watching series like Thundercats with my dad, The Flintstones. Uh, One particular show I watched a lot, I can connect with my dad, would probably be He-Man. So
Mhm.
yeah, all my dad also liked nostalgic shows that he watched as a child. That also has a big influence in my early careers for Origin. So TV in early childhood is one origin, and then another origin is DC in animated TV shows. That's another
Mhm.
origin story. That's what got me to watching anime. Static Shock, Teen Titans, all and Justice. I vividly remember Justice League. I love watching it. Batman, the animated series, is great. So shows like that had like a nostalgic feel to it, like I have seen before. Probably
Mhm.
my favorite show I would watch it with my brother was Avatar: The Last Airbender. I would watch it constantly. I would watch it all summer, trying to watch all. They put in a marathon. I would try to watch it all because they would show random episodes, so I watch them all out of order. But I didn't care. I was watching it out of order because the only way I had to watch it at that time was the TV. So okay, let's go to Nicktoons and try to watch this. Oh, I haven't seen this episode. Let's watch it. So I watched all the episodes. It's like, oh, this is a rerun. I've already seen this episode, but I'll still watch it because the next episodes. Which episodes have I watched? I'll keep track. That was a big thing I did with my brother as well. That's one origin story.
Yeah.
Um, I guess with anime, was that? I guess the origin of anime is the DC and animated the DC animated universe, say,
Mhm.
and the Marvel properties that they were animated. Um, I guess Pokemon. Having that big interest so young actually made me. Once I found that Pokemon was an anime, I didn't know actually what it was. Like, huh? That was a
Uh-huh.
childhood favorite. What other shows did I watch as a child that could be anime? One of them was Digimon. I watched a little bit Bakugan. So I had like a couple awareness of what anime was,
The Military Day.
and then I just start watching anime, like the
Yeah.
big series that would define what I'd be liking in anime. So that's kind of how anime came to be. And then the other origin stories, how I expressed my anime passion through the internet, I should say. My
Mhm.
passion to blogging and my origin for podcasting is not really blogging, but I think live streaming
Mhm.
and my background in mass communications. Yeah, because
Got it.
when I did the podcast, it was a medium that was media related. but also a way to express my niche interest in anime.
Mm-hmm.
Because the podcast, the technical side, and audio production is what I experience when I did TV production.
Cool. Okay. All of that. So let's break that down. Like I said, we can stick on podcasting. So you said it's like the best passion project. So what about the podcasting really keeps you going?
Oh, what keeps me going? The endless topics that I can discuss.
Mm-hmm.
Anime fandoms and Japanese culture is so much that the topics I can discuss, I can be from 5 years from now discussing brand new topics and just continually having more and more content to bounce ideas off from that I'll be inspired to make an episode podcast about anything I want. Let's say,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I'll start watching Transformers and I got involved in the comics a big deal. Well, I would do, one thing with Transformers, Transformers, the movie. That is a big, I think, the 80s or 90s nostalgic film that people
Yeah.
love. So that particular when I watched it at an anime convention. Funny enough, it was GalaxyCon. I was actually, I was doing what was I doing? Oh, I was the post helping with the production side. I was doing the audio and visual. So I'll actually go into the projector room, set it up, and change the DVDs and put it in for the next streaming for people in the anime and nostalgia room. Those are my jobs, and also help set up in the equipment to basically like the mics and the microphones in the panel rooms as well. So that's what I volunteered for, and that's how I got access to the Transformers the movie. Transformers the movie, I think. So yeah, it's just the endless topics that like the topics just keep coming off the fly. It's so
Yeah.
easy to immerse yourself and just do a deep dive, and you still can't swim to the top because you just keep sinking. You're instead of a boat, floating, you are sinking because there's so much knowledge to gain, and the anime medium is so diverse. At least for me.
Makes sense. Makes sense. It's ever growing. There's no stopping anime anytime soon, so you can find something to talk about, something new. Definitely makes sense.
You know, it's just like how you did podcasting, right? You
Yeah.
found that you want to empower people through the origin stories and similar perspectives that people might have. You know,
Mhm.
is that how you started? Or is just that you wanted to find interesting stories and capture those stories in the podcast?
Yeah, definitely. I was like, I knew a lot of people. I can definitely do this, and I meet people almost every day.
So you were like, "Oh yeah, I can connect with people of different backgrounds, and my professionalism will make me a charismatic host that is just very keen into like questions and letting my you know special guests to talk about who they are."
Yep.
Okay.
Uh, Podcasting is fun. It has its moments. And sometimes I'm like, I'm tired.
I mean, yeah, I get that sometimes too, that I'm tired or don't want to do the podcast episode, but like, you know, if I do it, that means it's already done. I don't have to worry about it later.
Yeah. So sticking with this, with like podcasting and anime, your interest in anime, is there anything bigger with it, or will like your interest in anime just stay like a hobby?
I don't know. It's really hard to narrow down anime. I mean, it's something that I guess it's just the culture for me. There's so much to see, so much to do, not enough time to do it. And one way that I grew up with board games as well. Since we didn't have much, when I was younger, my mom would run a board game club. I would actually go to the board game club and actually play a bunch of board games. We had so much that we had a laundry basket that we would bring to and from to the school for when we would meet, like what, once a month for that? I think you stay after school and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was another thing. And tabletop gaming is a big interest of mine. So it's really just like anime fandom convention all together in one. That's the only way I can describe it.
Yeah.
And I've always seek out entertainment as a way to enjoy my time. So anything that's like entertaining to me is very interesting. I will find time to watch something, do something, or hear something to basically be immersed into it
Mm-hmm.
because I'm putting the time to learn that particular fandom or learn that particular um, area of interest.
Let's switch this into a music topic, Yugioh. And the new game came out yesterday at the time of recording.
Yeah, Master Duel did come out. And as of recently, Yu-Gi-Oh has been a huge shift in changing of interest, like a big shift. Like progression series, watching the history of Yu-Gi-Oh. I'm watching all these YouTubers now creating original content created actually just solely dedicated to Yu-Gi-Oh. That's actually
Yeah.
very entertaining. I didn't think that I'll be, immersed into this. Like I watched Yu-Gi-Oh as a kid. I remember vividly what the like I think the classic of uh Duel Monsters. I remember Duel Monsters more because that's what I watched more until I watched all of the Yu-Gi-Oh anime.
Yeah.
I watched all of the anime properties that they had the same name. And I think the best one I love was Arc V. I think Arc V was the best Yu-Gi-Oh anime except from Duel Monsters that I thoroughly enjoyed. Because who wants to not set the scale and have pendulum necklaces going around and being all fancy from 1 to 8, and they would set it up, and then you have like what 4 to 5? No, you set up with if you go first, you have 2 cards set up the scales. At least 3 monsters you're summoned from hand for free if they match the level. That format was broken. They had to
Yeah.
have entirely new master rules just to fix the format. Now the monsters go to the extra monster zone. the first time they go from the when they leave the field and go to the extra deck, they have to be summoned either in the extra monster zone first or into a zinc zone that it's occupied by a monster in the extra monster zone and gives you extra zones.
Yeah, I kind of stopped around 5Ds, and then I seen this, and I was like, I
Okay, 5Ds was interesting with the signers.
yeah,
The dark signers were a little weird to me, but I feel like the story really connected with the 7 signers and the different legendary dragons, so it was synchro based.
yeah.
So that was kind of cool seeing that. I don't know. The future vibes with speed dueling was kind of interesting. Like,
Card games on motorcycles.
yeah, car games on motorcycles. I wouldn't actually think that would be possible. And most of the other motorcycles I think of as like motor sports or motocrossing. So yeah, I didn't really think that would be like a thing, but it was. And then yeah, after 5Ds, they just kept. Well, they did other iterations of speed dueling, like in the different dimensions of Arc V. They incorporated a little bit of it. They brought it back into like veins and the instead of speed dueling on a motorcycle, you're surfing on the data waves. It's like, what the heck is this? uh, I mean, that was kind of the range was kind of like a new twist to me. I did enjoy it. It's just I I have a love hate relationship with Veins. I hate Master Wolf 4. Oh, that's probably the worst Master Wolves we ever had. I mean, the Link summoning mechanic is fine because it's now Master Wolf 5, but that's only because they had to fix Master Wolf 4 with the extra deck summoning. That's why I did not like it. You had to play Links. You had to play Link monsters to play your favorite XYZ monster, Synchro, Fusion, and Pendulum. You had to play those
Yeah,
links to play those other mechanics. But they fixed it in Master Rule 5. Fusion monsters, Synchro monsters, and XYZ monsters are not required an extra monster zone. They're not required to be summoned in the extra monster zone or a zone pointing to it from the extra monster zone. They can be summoned the original mechanic of the 5 original monster zones. That's what I like about it. And of course, they nerfed pendulums and created an entire ban list because pendulums were still broken after Master Rule 4. It's just something Electromite, Astro Sorcerer, Monkey Board, Plush Fire. Ugh. Insane's an advantage because you go so negative to set those scales, and yet some of these broken pendulum support gave you so much positive card advantage. And positive card advantage is basically anything you go plus. So if you get a card that summons like 2 cards and you gain a card from it, like Heart of Greed was banned because of positive of the card advantage it gave. And also, of course, everyone will keep running it to this day. 3 Pot of Greeds, 3
and what
Upstart
does it do?
Goblins. They will literally have a 9-card draw engine to access at any given point. Also good for Tragedy too, which also gave you grave effects. They'll literally have this entire draw engine that's so consistent to achieve some FTK combo or just stop your entire this going first, stop you from playing from going second. And they win the game. And card advantage in Yu-Gi-Oh is very critical because that drawing just one card can win you the game. That's how impactful it is by drawing cards. But other formats like Magic and Pokemon, they don't necessarily have, like, they have card advantage and draw cards, but it's not insanely broken when you draw cards in those formats. Because you need other cards to play the game. Pokemon, you need the appropriate energy to declare an attack. Magic, you need the appropriate mana. Like, you need the appropriate mana to basically be a resource to play the game. Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't have resources to play the game. Any card's playable. You don't need an extra card to play this card, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why Yu-Gi-Oh is insanely broken with the card advantage.
Yep. Played some the other night. I was like, I had to retire. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, the game got too far away from me. Like,
I mean,
just
I
one
only
turn,
keep
I'm just
I keep up with it, and that's all I need to do.
like, you know what? I didn't think this through. I'm not gonna put no money to it. Anybody else can have it. Just knowing you can't win, you just like, you know what? I picked the wrong cards. Should have picked Blue Eyes.
Oh gosh, you're playing the legacy support? Oh boy. There's also such a thing called power creep in the game. If
Yep.
anyone doesn't know what power creep is, a strategy from 2005 can't compete with a strategy from 2018. It's just so many cards are introduced and so much changes to the game. Like, there is no more one summon and you're done. It's like you can have those unlimited. Okay, when Yu-Gi-Oh was first made, there was never a number of how many summons you could do. Now there is no limit to summons. As long as you meet the conditions to summon that monster, you can do it as many times as you want to infinity. There is infinite loot combos in Yu-Gi-Oh. You can infinitely summon the same monster over and over, and usually those combos have an end until you declare an end. So yeah, 20 minutes can go by, and they're still doing their turn.
Yeah, nope. I love those TikToks people be like, back in the day, set one card, set my monster and my turn. Now it's like, yeah, I'm gonna play 6 different cards and continue this turn.
Yeah, and if a popular format back then was T set pass because the format was so slow. Well, the format was slow enough where usually setting or normal summoning one monster was the game mechanic. At one time you could only summon like maybe at least one monster a turn, maybe two if you had like a special summon effect, which is really rare back then, which we did have. It just wasn't like it wasn't mass summoning until like you know 2006 2008 is when mass summoning came a thing more. Because that's when synchros were introduced. When synchros were introduced to the game, decks was significantly changed to support 5 to 8 summons a turn.
Yeah, I remember those dinners. Definitely. Let's see. What else? Talk anime, talk about podcasting. Let's see. Podcasting. So what's kind of your process with podcasting?
You
Kind
mean?
of good. What do you do? Like what kind of how you set the podcast and what you do and everything like that.
Oh,
What's
my
your process?
how I came to like. Okay, so I think the best way to explain this is like discuss a previous podcast and how I came to do idea generation.
Yeah.
So usually the ideas I have are based on things I watch or something I read. And if I like that particular, this is the same concept I use with blogging as well.
Hmm.
I would first start when I first started blogging. I would research anime articles, and then I found one I liked, and then I wrote about it, summarized it, put it into a blog format, made it my own. With podcasting, I have let's say I watch Steins Gate. Well, Steins Gate is a time traveling anime. They work on the premise of all these different conspiracy theories, and
Hmm.
time travel is one of those theories. So if I really like Steins Gate, I loved it so much that it's like, okay, I want to do a podcast about time travel in anime. Well, what is four different shows that matches that theme about time travel? Then I will research shows that fit that category. I will include the show that inspired that uh, discussion for that episode, which is Steins Gate. Then I'll list three other shows and put them into like an order that makes sense and transitional wise, whatever the time how I organize it. So if I say I want to organize by the ABC, so Steingate might be one of the either the third or the fourth show in a discussion about time travel.
Hmm.
And then it's like, are you going to discuss it, or are you going to get someone to help you discuss it? Lucky for
Hmm.
me, I like my original idea of the podcast was get a co-host, and then the co-host we would discuss the topic together and make it easier on me. So the organization from the start was get a co-host. Some people start a podcast and just end up being one person solo in the podcast. Some people can do that. I can also do that. It's just I didn't want that because I was by myself writing blogs. So I had prior experience that made it not enjoyable for me. And I like to talk, so I wanted to talk with someone else about it instead of just me talking for an entire hour by myself.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Cool. And so we didn't have a chance to break down your interest in media and stuff like that. Where did that come from? Just your interest in anime?
I mean, okay, the interest to media, hmm, the interest to media to me, it, let's just use the comparison to with food. I love any type of food. Doesn't matter where it came from, who cooked it, as long as it fills me up and I have a good feeling. That's
Hmm.
what I like about food. With media, that's the same thing. I'm open to any topic, any form of entertainment. If I haven't heard about it, I want to try it out. If I don't like it, you know, I experienced it once, but I don't want to do it again. But I haven't really found that. I haven't found a media interest that I don't necessarily don't like.
Yeah.
So, and since I'm so open to trying new things, like when I was young, I would literally eat everything in the sun. I was literally the child. You can cook something bad, mess the entire recipe up. I'll still eat it. I just wanted the food, and there was very few things. I ate all my vegetables, all my fruit. There was nothing as a baby I didn't eat. So yeah, that still continues today. But being introduced in a internet dominated society as we are now, it's very easy to access new fandoms, new forms of entertainment. And there's more ways to engross yourself into different ways of entertainment. One such media I enjoyed a lot of time was with my family. Watching some cartoons with dad, it's fine. I would watch shows with my brother, so we will connect that way. He also had he also ended up liking Pokemon too, but with a different reason. Game Boy was big in my life. That was my big entertainment. Was mostly Pokemon, maybe Tetris, and a little bit of other classic Nintendo games. I had an old computer. I would play pinball all the time before I go to school. I would wake up at like 6:30, take a shower, eat breakfast, and then I have like 20 to 30 minutes before I go in the school bus. And I'll just play pinball in my mom's room and just try to beat the highest score. That was literally the motivation. It was an application on the computer that had default as pinball. So, some people had arcade when they grew up. Well, I had Nintendo. So Nintendo was my arcade. So with the different interests over time, it's just the interests have accumulated enough that they're very diverse, and I can default to any interest and enjoy it. Like I can just go to Dungeons and Dragons. I love that setup with that fantasy. The action LARPers. I have not given live action roleplay a chance because I haven't actually found a group that did it. But I'm open to it. I want to try it if I've been presented the opportunity. It probably is. I haven't really actively looked for it. But with me, I like seeking. If I'm in that interest, I like seeking other people to explore that passion with.
Yeah.
War games, I did do a club setting. Uh, mass communications, TV production became a interest in high school that I never thought I'd be interested in. I don't know. I think I literally wanted to do mass communications because in the first level, you get taught yearbook, newspaper, TV production. I wanted to be in yearbook because the previous year before that, in 8th grade, I was in the yearbook club. I would help take photos, and so my original reasoning was yearbook. But then I wanted to do TV production instead because I for some reason I gravitated towards media. That's like been the pinnacle of my life. Media has been my entertainment. I guess I don't know if that answers the question, but like for me, media has been the pinnacle for how I came across all these different entertainments in the industry.
Yeah. Makes sense. Now, for the last question is, what would you name your origin story?
How I would name my origin story. Oh boy. How would I name it? You know, I would name my origin story as anyone else's origin story. There is not a specific climax. There's not a specific event that jump started my life. My entire life has been finding entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it was and whatever field it was, if I liked what I did, I kept seeking more of it. You know, if I collected snow globes, or if I collected keychains or canvases and have an entire room of just original canvases from people that painted, you know, if I go to me, it's just going through a phase. What is the next phase going to happen that's gonna make me drastically change my interest? Not like change it for new passions in life, but like change it as the main focus. Because I'm still gonna go back default to other entertainment. I ain't just gonna don't do it ever again. I'm gonna try to do it again if I have the opportunity. But
Mm-hmm.
basically for me, what has my attention the most at this moment? Right now, that's Yu-Gi-Oh! And
Yep.
the podcast. But the podcast has been a continuation of my passion of anime. That never had disappeared. I might be distracted from anime at the moment, not watching as much shows. Like I uh just caught up with Boruto for the longest time. It was like I don't know, I was like behind like 25 weeks, something like that. I just didn't I just binge watched it like the last couple of days. I watched it like in 2 days. I caught all back up. Same thing what I did with One Piece for the longest time. I'll let it build up to the point where I'll miss a bunch of episodes and then watch it all over again because of all the stuff I missed. Because I have, you know, something else and to keep my focus at the time. And with Yu-Gi-Oh! It's been like ever since I guess the big change with me was Yu-Gi-Oh!
Mm-hmm.
That's a big like a big transition in my range of passion. I never been like that passionate other than Pokemon as a fandom. But I only was interested in the video game fandom. I never got into the TCG uh, card format. But with Yu-Gi-Oh, once I was introduced as an opportunity to buy the cards that I had like years before with watching the show, I took the chance and bought those cards. It was an Amazonas and a water deck. Those were the themes of the deck. So when I was at that bookstore, that inspired me into spending money on cards and building decks online and finding a community. Because at that time, I didn't have much people to play Yu-Gi-Oh with, so I went to the internet as a way to find people. First thing I found was Dueling Book, and then late somehow I found Dueling Nexus, and just kept being on Nexus for hours. And you know, I would remember that I'll be on Nexus and not want to do my blogs. It would be distracting. So I had to like now make time for my blogging because of Dueling Nexus. That's kind of crazy, but yeah, those. Now I actually found the medium, like the enjoyment of this when I do this, when I do the podcast. I have everything figured out. There's not like a big, I'm spending too much time here and I want to spend it elsewhere. Like, also, I would play Yu-Gi-Oh! For hours and not watch the anime I wanted to watch later in the day. Yeah, I want to watch this particular anime, but I haven't done it yet. Oh, I'll play Yu-Gi-Oh! For like 2 hours and then watch the anime. It's like bedtime. I'm still playing the game with people online. So yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! For me has been that second biggest impact. If you find something that distracts you that much, that's a big transition for me. Distract you to the point where you don't want to do anything else other than that activity. How about you?
Definitely.
Did you have that big distraction event?
I'm not sure. I kind of just I find something that keeps my interest for a couple months probably, and then I'll just
But you
find
never
something
found
else.
something else? This is what I'm
Like
spending. Okay.
Yu-Gi-Oh's been the most consistent thing for me. Like something I, even though I dropped it a couple of times, it's just something I always come back to.
Yeah.
But I'm always just changing, just experimenting. All right, I think that's a good time to stop. Do you have any last minute things? Any last minute want to let people know where they can find you?
Oh yeah. People can find me on my MC anime. If you type in like RSS MC anime, MC like MC anime ANIME, that would take you directly to my RSS feed on my podcast. Also, the social media tag I use, like is my main website, is the asterisk at capital at blog MC anime. All of that is one basically one sentence at capital B LOG no space capital M capital C capital A no space NIME at blog MC anime. That's my main website that I'm using for my podcast. And all the updates of my old blogs and my new podcast content, and also that you can find my live stream content as well, all on the same page.
Well, have a good night.
All right, thanks for having me.
Anytime.
That brings another episode of the Let's Get Podcast to a close. Again, you can find more information about the MC Anime Podcast by clicking the link in the description below. For next week, I'm my friend Nikolsky to speak about his journey in making music. Hope you're doing this day, and I hope to see you there.